I can't tell you how many years I grinded 60, 70, 80 hours a week playing poker to make a living. And the truth is, I didn't have to. Poker is a great game, but the reality is the time you spend off the felt is as important or even more important to how well you play than what you do on the felt. My name is Rob Gardner. I'm a 20+ year poker professional, and I love talking to poker players about how to better their skills and get the most out of this game. Today, we're going to talk about a difficult topic, which is balancing poker with life. I've watched so many friends burn out on this game and ultimately flame out despite having great talents and abilities because they overworked themselves and got themselves to a point of complete exhaustion. See, the allure of freedom that poker gives pulls us all in, but eventually it starts demanding so much time, so much attention, so much focus, so much consistency of playing at a very elite level that if we're not properly recharging ourselves, we end up running ourselves dry. The guilt of not playing, the shame of losing, the FOMO that rises up in us when we're not at a particular event tricks us into thinking that we have to play everything. And without a proper structure in our lives, everything slowly starts to unravel and fall apart. But whether you're a full-time poker player or a casual poker player trying to balance the game of poker with a family and a job, I'm going to teach you what I do to keep myself in a healthy place and play the best poker I'm capable of. Now, before I give you my system for this, I want to make something very clear. One absolute rule that never changes. There are no have-tos in poker. People will tell you, you have to play on Sundays. You have to play 5 days a week. You have to put in high volume. This tournament is can't miss. This series is can't miss. You have to be in Vegas for the summer. None of that is true. The only thing you have to do is take care of yourself and the people that love you. Poker is not going anywhere. There will be a tomorrow. There will be a next month. There will be a next series. So anytime you feel the pressure to have to, remember what I told you. There are no have-tos in poker. So how do we find a perfect balance between poker and life? First, we need to create an actual poker routine. Now, if you've watched a lot of my videos, you're going to start to notice a theme here, which is getting organized and having structure is the best way to perform at a high level. And these are the skills that nobody wants to take. Everybody just wants to jump into being aggressive and 3-betting and check raising. And it's the game away from the tables that really separates the good and great players. Sure, volume is a good way to overcome variance, but what is better is volume at your peak. And that means being able to play when you're at your best at the top of your game. And a lot of times playing 4 sessions at the top of your game is always going to do better than playing 6 or 8 at the bottom of your game. But because most players do not come up with actual poker routines and schedules, they just play when they feel like playing, or sometimes they play when they don't feel like playing, and this leads to a lot of chaos and a lot of imbalance. You need to start to ask yourself some questions. How many days a week can I play at my best? After I put a long session in, what do I need to do to recoup and get back to a level of playing my best? If I have a really bad session, what do I need to do to get myself emotionally centered before I play again? These are all the kinds of questions that can help you decide what a healthy schedule actually looks like. And building a schedule allows us to think about the other things that we need to make time for. Time with our spouses, time with our kids, time with our friends, time just to ourselves. All of these things need to be incorporated into a schedule. And while, yeah, some of you are thinking, oh man, I wish I could play poker 7 days a week, and the idea of only playing poker 2 or 3 days a week is so limiting. If you get hyped for those 2 or 3 days and you know you're going to play at your absolute best, it can actually be a positive instead of a negative to play less poker. We begin to look forward to it more, we prep ourselves more, and we play at a higher level. The more consistent your poker routine can be, the better. I recommend having a consistent weekly schedule that you can obviously adjust week to week if certain situations come up, but having a consistent routine where you just know Fridays and Sundays I'm going to play poker really helps you keep your mindset in check and also helps you play with consistency on those days because you're used to the routine and your body and mind get used to the habit. The second step, once you've got your poker routine in place, is to see time away from poker as an investment in your poker game. This is a massive fundamental shift that a lot of poker players do not understand. They think if they're taking a break, they're going to get rusty. Their game's going to get stale. They're going to lose what they've remembered. The FOMO of missing events is going to kick in. They're missing out on opportunities to grow their bankroll, to build their game, to build reputation. It's all crap. The mind is an incredibly beautiful, complex organ. And I can tell you from 20 years of experience that I have had times where I've taken 3, 4, even 6-month breaks from this game and come back sharper, more focused, and with fresh ideas on how to play than I did before my break. I can't exactly explain how it all works. I'm sure there's some neuroscientists out there can explain how the mind continues to work on things even after the fact, but I can promise you that time away helps you get better at poker. When you make this fundamental shift, it changes everything. Because now, when a day comes and you're supposed to play, but you don't really feel like playing, you now give yourself the freedom and the permission to step away and take an extra day off. Because you don't see that as a liability or a step backwards, you see it as preparation to make sure the next session is even better than the one before it. You also end up preventing some losses by having the awareness of when you shouldn't play and not putting a mediocre product into these games, costing you more money in the long run. And you need time to recoup. You need time to heal. You need time to have stupid fun. My game has gotten so much better since I've understood this principle. Then step 3 is protecting your poker identity from validation. It's basically a fancy way of saying, have confidence in yourself and don't get yourself into the trap of thinking that you need to prove yourself to anyone or anything. A lot of the drive to constantly play poker, to prioritize poker over family or friends or downtime is because we have this chip on our shoulder. We have this thing that we feel we need to prove. It drives us to play buy-ins we shouldn't play. It drives us to play in tournament series we shouldn't play. It drives us to skip breaks. It drives us to play 70, 80, 90 hours a week because we think we're just going to willpower our way to our goals. And it's especially strong in situations where we feel like we need validation because we think the more over the top our schedule is or the more impressive our effort looks that we're going to prove something to somebody. But there is no such thing as respect in the poker industry. It does not exist. You are playing for you and you alone. Your performance on the poker field is not directly tied to who you are as a person or your self-worth. The more we can keep these unhealthy motivations out of our identity, the less likely we are to chase false motivations as an excuse to put in too much volume and have an unhealthy poker life balance. Now you may be thinking, I like to play tournament series. There's a big tournament series coming up. Can I just, focus on playing an entire tournament series for a week or two? And the answer is yeah, but just understand the toll that week or two is going to take and be smart and plan some extra breaks on the back end of series to give yourself enough time to recoup so that when the next series comes, you're extra fresh. Anytime we are feeling pressure to play, we're feeling forced to play, we need to ask ourselves where those motivations are coming from. And if any of it lies in validation, we need to really rethink why we're feeling the need to play the game. If you can create a good poker routine and stick to it, if you can see the time away from the table as an investment in your poker skill, and you can make sure that your poker identity doesn't get wrapped up in validation, you can have a long, successful poker career and achieve your goals in a reasonable amount of time. As always, drop any questions or comments you have down below. I love to respond to viewer comments. And make sure you hit that like and subscribe button so you can get notifications when our weekly strategy videos come out and the daily videos I post on shorts about poker strategy and my poker journey. That's all for this week. I will talk to you next week when we will talk about 5 things I wish I knew when I started the game of poker.